Yeah, we're idiots.
Yeah, we're idiots. What do you think of All Out coming up in 2 weeks? Looks like we got Bryan Danielson versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry in the main event. Will Ospreay versus Pac, which should rule. And then I'm trying to remember. Oh, cage match, Swerve and Hangman. Yeah,
that is the main event.
yes.
Let's be clear about this. Swerve, my kid and I have tickets. I told him Swerve and Hangman in the main event, and he goes in a cage, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, that's going to be too bloody for me. I'm not going to be able to watch it." And he's so matter of fact about it too, because he just knows what these two guys are going to do, and the blood kind of. You can look at blood from Moxley because he always whenever somebody bleeds, he goes, "Oh, he went full Mox." Like he always says, it cracks me up. And he's just like, but with Swerve and Hangman, like those two legitimately scare him when they wrestle. So it's gonna be crazy intense. Jungle Boy and Jack Perry. The Jack Perry character interests me. It's been interesting lately. I don't know if I'm thrilled with him and Bryan, quite frankly. Like but it's only a 2-week build, so I guess you don't want to squander his first defense on like something interesting. So you got to kind of. I think this is a bad idea. I thought so last year. I think so this year. I think doing these two shows back to back is just not. It's not good for a show build. But the 2 of the 3 matches they've announced seem pretty cool. So whatever.
Yeah, I think that the Jack Perry match is a bit of a letdown. Like I just have Jack Perry's not a bad wrestler.
No,
Jack Perry can have good matches. I just don't find him interesting, and I don't find him interesting in a main event level. But I have felt that way about him for a long time.
You've been consistent.
They're doing it in Chicago, and I'm just like,
that's why.
Like that, yeah, that's why. But I'm just like, can you guys get over that already? It's like now you're just kind of weird.
So I like to use weird. That's a great term.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim Waltz, by the way.
Yeah, appreciate that. Tim Waltz, great guy. So I was in the arena, Wintrust in Chicago in April when Jack Perry had his New Japan Swan song. That dude was over as a heel because of that stuff. So if you're in Chicago with I didn't think about this till you just said that. If you're in Chicago with a short build, you don't have to do much. You don't have to lean into the Punk stuff. You can just put Jack Perry out there in Chicago and people will do it. So, okay, I get that.
I just feel like that roster's so deep that I think they have a lot better options, but it's the one that they went with. I wouldn't have been interested in Christian either. Christian won the gauntlet match. I wouldn't have been interested in that, but I just feel like I could probably name 10 other dudes off the top of my head.
Darby's got a shot, but I'm starting to think they're going to do Darby versus Danielson in Tacoma. For the pay-per-view, which makes sense actually in Washington.
Yeah. If Darby beats Moxley, I think with Moxley going heel, I think they go Moxley and Danielson at some point. I think that's probably the big match to close the year. Really,
I think I could see it actually because it would bookend Bryan nicely, and I think Moxley. We have to work Moxley back into this company, and we were talking with our buddy the other day, and I said I think Moxley needs a fresh coat of paint. I think the time off has been kind of nice, but I mean he's still the heartbeat of this promotion. So I mean, I'm okay with them doing something a little different with him. Yeah. If this is Mox's Bret Hart 97 run, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, what are your thoughts on All Out? I already did a podcast on it. I went live. I did 52 minutes earlier this week. Did good numbers for us, by the way. But what'd you think of All In? I'm sorry, All In. What'd you think of it?
It was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. No, I'm totally kidding. I love it. Yeah. I just stunned you for a second.
I was like, wait, we just talked about this. I already know the answer. Why are you saying this?
Because I'm an asshole. No, I loved it, man. It took me 2 days to get to the show because I was watching it with my kid and he had bedtime. So I just love watching wrestling with my kid. I did a video. I posted to my Twitter of my son he loves Darby Allin so much. He was literally jumping up and down the entire match, just thrilled. And then when he lost, he just buried his head in he knows it's not real. He knows it. But he's so invested in Darby Allin, the little short blonde guy, that he just lives and dies. So that's how I'm always going to think of that show. Man, did I love that main event. With Swerve and Bryan Danielson. What a match! What a story! People who say this company doesn't tell stories are completely stupid. They're so full of shit.
Be careful what you say because I did get kicked off of Twitter earlier this week for suggesting that somebody if they think AEW doesn't tell stories that they should, go up to a high point and then just jump. Right.
Well,
So
I'm
I
not,
got
I'm
kicked off of
not
Twitter.
telling anybody to kill themselves. I'm just telling them
Yeah.
they're stupid.
I
Like,
wasn't doing that either. Hopefully there's like a soft landing, but yeah.
Osprey and MJF was great. I really
Yeah.
liked that match a lot. Well, say what you want about MJF. When he's in the ring, he's become one of the best workers in the world. He truly
Yeah.
is. Him and Osprey have unbelievable chemistry. I thought the Daniel Garcia thing worked, and it bookended that story nicely and pivots to another program. I thought the tag match, the three-way tag match, was boring.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was really disappointed with it, to be quite honest with you. I really like the casino gauntlet thing. I think they have something with this
Yeah.
gimmick. They've been experimenting with this casino thing since the company really started, and doing it as a gauntlet that can end at any moment. It gives it like something. It gives it something, a flavor similar to the Rumble, but makes it its own. Because, like I said, the first time Roderick Strong didn't even get out there. Like, so
Yeah.
you can have this gauntlet match end in 2 minutes and everybody gets screwed over. And at some point they should do that. Right?
I think they should too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the best matches on the show.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately, I actually watched that live, and for some reason I thought it was a Royal Rumble, and then Jeff Jarrett gets thrown over the top rope, and he comes back in. I was like, why is he still like, this is an outrage? Like, and then Ricochet's diving over the top ropes, and I'm not knowing what's going on. And then I was like, oh, it's the same thing they did in Jacksonville when Osprey won. It was the same match. I didn't even like, because so much wrestling has happened between then. I completely forgot that I already had done it, and it was awesome before. This was I believe the second time they've done this, and it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they should. I think they should do this quarterly, to be honest with you. And if it gets hot, maybe it's something you can do on a pay-per-view, on a big, maybe you can make it a big thing on a pay-per-view every year. I don't know.
I would keep it to an annual and make it a big deal.
Mhm.
And kind of like, their Royal Rumble, but I wouldn't call it Casino Gauntlet pay-per-view, but I would like, if you every year they do it on All Out, like it's just something they do for All Out. I think that would be cool.
Kind of like what Money in the Bank was when it was a WrestleMania gimmick, as opposed to being its own show. Yeah, I agree with that. And I like there's not a ladder involved. So that is always good. Oh, but I did like the ladder. I always bitch about ladder matches, but I typically enjoy them when I watch them.
I hate them, but I end up loving them every time.
Yeah, it's the same problem.
I'm just like, they should really only do it once a year too. Like, it's way too old at this point. They do them every pay-per-view. But
I agree.
They end up suckering me each time.
Because they're always damn good. Like, and watching Pac have his moment in Wembley was great. Like, I'm like, oh, well, this kind of rules. Watching Nigel have a moment, didn't see that coming. Should have been setting up for a fucking year. Like,
I think that they need to. On one hand, I think they need to re-educate the audience as to who Nigel is, because I do think that it's been so long since he's been a worker that everybody kind of, there's a whole generation that only sees him as an announcer, right?
I agree.
So I think they have to re-educate people to how badass he is. But there was also a part of me that wanted him to be the challenger instead of Jack Perry. That would have been cool for guys like us. And I was not even a big Ring of Honor guy, but I was always fascinated by Nigel, and I went back and watched a lot of his Danielson matches that he had, and during that Ring of Honor run. I was like, okay, I think I would want that, but I know for a fact that it wouldn't do as well like at the box office. I know why they're not doing it, but I think they got to go to it at some point.
I think it's a good TV match to do at some point, to be honest with you. You could throw in a collision or something like that, or maybe an episode of Dynamite, and it would be fine if you did the story. Were you a big Desmond Wolfe guy, Mike?
I did like Desmond Wolfe. I legitimately liked him. And of course I felt like they started out, he was getting a push immediately. Mm-hmm. They did the Kurt Angle. He had a really good match with Kurt Angle. I can't remember. I think it might have been a Lockdown. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was, but he actually had like a marquee match, but then Hogan and Bischoff just came in and they were not.
Hogan and Bischoff. Oh.
Yeah. So
I loved it. I thought All In was a great show for most part. I didn't love the women's title match.
I liked Mariah May and Toni Storm.
That's
I liked that one. I did not like Sasha and Britt Baker. Yeah. I didn't care for that one.
No, nor did I. I was surprised by the definitive ending of it too. I was like, oh, kind of down with Britt, huh? It felt like it. Like, where do you go from there?
Might be time to move on there. She's a little bit of a pain in the ass, apparently. I don't know. We'll see. But
sometimes doors are open, sometimes they're closed.